Hello, I'm Lisa Turner, and welcome to Unusual Answers to Everyday Questions. Channeled from my guides, No1Guide. No1Guide is a highly evolved stream of consciousness. They've never lived before, and they're not dead people. Now, I don't ask you to believe anything in this presentation. Just listen to the answers, and you decide if the information is useful to you.
And now to the question of depression from Simone. What is up with the depression epidemic? I hear people saying more often they are depressed, as well as they either have thought about committing suicide or have family members, friends, colleagues, or acquaintances who have committed suicide. I read an article where they predicted that depression would be the #1 cause of death by 2020, so I'm curious to know why. Why are people so depressed now? Or is it that we're talking about it more now? By the way, I hear men are having this problem. Is this accurate? Oh, many questions. So, as to the prediction first, that depression will be the #1 cause of death by 2020. This is not what we foresee. We do not foresee this. This is not to say that it will not come to pass. However, this prediction is a speculation. And it has created an interesting article that attracts attention, but it is not accurate in the sense that, let us explain prediction. At any given time on your planet, things are put in motion. Things in the physical reality are put in motion through your actions and thoughts and beliefs and through your own evolution. And at this particular time, that outcome is not in motion. That outcome of death by depression creating death by 2020, that is not accurate. More people will die of starvation. Starvation is your biggest concern for life. Much more than people taking their own lives. So as to the question of depression, depression is the result of a contracting neurology. And indeed, as we have already mentioned, at this particular time, many people are desiring to evolve and expand their neurology, and many people desire to contract their neurology. And they do this out of fear. They do this out of lack of understanding and comprehension of what it truly means to expand your neurology. Expanding your neurology, please understand this, and we recognize this through our work with Lisa, and Lisa expands her neurology greatly. We have rarely known a being who challenges herself and takes herself to limits as much as Lisa does. And we are well aware, because she invokes us at this time, quite how uncomfortable expanding your neurology can be. And there are times when Lisa sometimes thinks to herself, and she asks us, how can I make this easier? Or how can I not expand so painfully? Or do I have to do this again? She asks. And we are well aware of how uncomfortable it is to expand your neurology, and so many people simply choose not to expand. However, this is like perhaps your experience of drugs. When you are in pain, you take a medication that removes the sensation of pain, but it does not remove the cause of the pain. And when the drug wears off, sometimes because the pain is there to warn you, to guide you, and so you would damage yourself more with pain-removing drugs than you would if you did not take them. And so the pain becomes worse. So if you would appreciate this metaphor, that when you choose not to expand, the pain eventually, ultimately becomes worse. And here is why. Your society is evolving in a wondrous way. Your society is evolving in a wondrous way, which for many who do not continue to evolve themselves at the same pace as society, instead preferring to contract, society will move on and move on and move on, and they will be further and further and further behind. And it is this that creates the depression. Depression is caused by contracting neurology, and this is caused by not challenging yourself, not stretching yourself. And it is our invitation to you to do something every day, several times a day, that challenges you, that gives you pause, that has you feel uncomfortable, but not to deliberately simply inflict pain, but to stretch yourself in a way that, on a daily basis, causes you to become more than you thought you were. This is how to avoid depression. And at this time, depression will increase because more and more people will see the expansion, feel the discomfort, aim to attempt to avoid it, and instead it will become worse for them. And then they will experience themselves as being so far behind the expansion, and they will not know this consciously. Please understand this. They will rarely know this consciously. They will simply know that they do not understand the world any longer. And this is because they have remained in their own modes of thinking about the world and about themselves, such that they do not believe they can catch up. Depression is also caused, and this is in alignment with this, with not living in line with your desires. And let us explain desire. Desire to have or be or do something that you do not have or experience yourself as having or being or doing is the desire ultimately to expand your neurology. All desires, in order to fulfill that desire, you will be required to expand your neurology. And so this creates the possibility. So desires create the possibility to expand your neurology. And so by acting on those desires, if it is something that you want to do or be or have, you will go and take action that will stretch your neurology. And this will cause you to feel discomfort. And many people would rather avoid that discomfort. And so they do not move towards their desires, instead settling for what they have currently, denying their desires, and this ultimately creates depression. And it is all due to contractive thinking. And also our invitation to you would be to simply, again, not be in judgment of those who have chosen depression, who have chosen contraction. Simply observe, they have chosen to contract. And our invitation, our heartfelt invitation to you would be to constantly expand yourself. Please understand, anything that you desire, all you need to do is expand your neurology through the discomfort. And you will have and be and do that which you desire. Let us also talk of this discomfort. The discomfort is frequently... Now let's explain this. How to explain this. The discomfort of expanding your neurology is not caused by anything being wrong. It is not, and it is not avoidable, and it can be made easier by understanding that the discomfort can mean you are right. And that to consider the discomfort not as discomfort, but as simply growth. Imagine a seed. In order for the plant to grow, it must crack the shell of the seed. And if you were the shell of the seed, you would imagine that cracking the shell would be painful, would be uncomfortable. And it is right that the shell is cracked. So simply be out of judgment of the expansion. know that when you expand it, it is right. We have spoken.
You've been watching Unusual Answers to Everyday Questions. If you have a question for No1Guide, go to www.psychacademy.co.uk. Join our newsletter, email us, let us know what you think.